Introducing Finally, a new energy-efficient light bulb that reveals beauty in your home. Colors are true and natural, never washed out. It'd be extraordinary if you could see this light, but this is radio. What a pity. A light this stunning deserves better. I deserve better. Finally, you'll love your light. Maybe a little too much. Available at Costco.
Blog Talk Radio.
Who are the unstoppable ones?
Is it just that they can do it and I can't?
Who are the unstoppable ones?
Is it just that they can do it and I can't? Mission Unstoppable. Mission Unstoppable.
The unstoppable ones.
You did say unstoppable, right? You did say unstoppable, right? What is it they know that I don't? Coach Frankie Picasso takes you on Mission Unstoppable.
Who are the unstoppable ones?
Can anyone stop these people?
Good evening. I am the Unstoppable Coach, Frankie Picasso, and tonight we are going on another Mission Unstoppable with a man who is known the world over. I don't just mean his reputation. I mean the man is known personally the world over. How is that possible? Well, when you're the founder and chairman of the world's largest business networking organization with over 5,000 chapters throughout every populated continent of the world, it's not so hard to do, especially if you take your own advice. Stay tuned, stay close, and all will be revealed in just a moment. This is the Unstoppable Frankie Picasso, and you are listening to Mission Unstoppable Radio. The time in Toronto is 8 p.m., 7 in Chicago, 5 in Los Angeles. I want to thank the good folks here at Blog Talk Radio for allowing me to broadcast over their network, and I want to thank you, you know who you are, for tuning in to me each and every week and making it such a joy to bring you the Unstoppable ones. I have the phones open, the chat room as well, so feel free to call or write if you have any questions this evening. My guest, as you know, has been called the father of networking by CNN, the networking guru by Entrepreneur Magazine, and Humanitarian of the Year by a Southern California newspaper. His name is Dr. Ivan Misner, and besides being the founder and chairman of BNI, Dr. Misner is also a New York Times best-selling author, having written such notables as The Master of Sales, Truth or Delusion, and Masters of Networking. Tonight we will be speaking about his most recent edition, The 29% Solution, 52 Weekly Networking Strategies. Now, if Dr. Misner has spare time, surely you can too. You see, he practices as a magician. He holds a black belt in karate. Oh, and did I mention that he also has the BNI Misner Charitable Foundation? Are you exhausted yet? Well, wait, you haven't even begun to network yet. Please welcome Dr. Ivan Misner to Mission Unstoppable. Good evening. How are you?
Thanks. Like I told you earlier, if I were doing any better, I'd cancel my life insurance. Things are great.
Things are great. You know, you have a charmed life. Or do you?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I'd call it charmed. I think, you know, I have a, you want to hear my secret to success?
Yeah.
Okay, here it is. Secret to success without hard work is still a secret.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You got to work for it. You know, I'm a 20-year overnight success.
Isn't that the case, really? Everybody expects this overnight success, but people who are successful have had to work. Nobody just snaps their fingers and go, oh, poof, I'm the biggest success ever since, sliced white bread. It's incredible that they expect something for nothing. It's not going to happen.
I think you're right, and I think it's getting worse because, we live in a society, this high-tech society, that everything happens very quickly, and so there's this natural expectation that we deserve it. This isn't about whether you deserve it or not. It's about whether you earn it or not. And I just found that if you want to achieve some level of success in life, it really takes hard work. And if you figure out a way to do it without the hard work, please let me know. Email me immediately because I would like to learn it. I don't know what it is.
Well, I think your secret to success has to be the spirit of giver's gain. I really love that about, your philosophy, your mantra, to give first and then get back. And I think that probably is the secret to your success. What do you think?
Well, I think it is an important part of it. It's actually based on the social capital theory of the law of reciprocity, which is it basically is an idea that's a classic example of the sum of the whole being the greater than the individual. That by people contributing to each other's welfare, the whole group benefits more. And that philosophy of giver's gain is all part of that, and it's a philosophy that I have pretty successfully inculcated into the networking organization that I started, where we tell people, look, when you come to this networking environment, don't just expect to get business. You got to earn it. You have to build relationships with people, and you have to give first. You have to help them, and if you help them, it'll come back around.
Yeah, I'd like to get into the difference, because I think it confuses people sometimes, the difference between advertising, marketing, and networking. I mean, they can be used in conjunction, but they really are separate entities.
They are, and I think,
yeah,
well, I think if you want to be, no, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, I think some people do confuse them, and maybe you can clarify that for us.
Well, I think most colleges and universities don't teach the latter. They teach how to advertise. They teach about marketing, but they don't really teach about networking. We don't teach this in colleges and universities anywhere in the world. We do teach advertising. We teach people how to create advertising campaigns. We teach marketing and PR. We teach how to build brands, but we don't teach how to network effectively. And if you ask the average business person, the average man or woman on the street in business, what's one of the most important ways to build your business, they will always tell you word of mouth or networking. And yet we don't teach it in colleges and universities. And I think the reason for that is that most full-time tenured professors, and it's the full-time tenured professors that control the curriculum, not part-timers. I've been a part-time professor for 19 years. I have no control over curriculum anywhere I taught. It's the full-time professors. Most full-time tenured professors have never had a real job in their life. Mm-hmm. They've never run a business. So we have professors teaching people how to do business, yet they've never run a business. Now, I've talked to them, and whenever I say this, boy, they get so mad at me. And they'll look at me mad, and they'll say, oh, that's not true, I own a business. And I'll say, well, really, what business? And they'll say, I'm a consultant. Well, you know what? I've been a consultant. It's not the same as running a business. And so can you imagine having law school taught by someone other than a lawyer? Can you imagine medical school being taught by someone other than a doctor? Yeah, we teach business school by people who are not in business.
Well, it's the old adage, those who can't do, teach.
Yeah. And unfortunately, that's true. I mean, I loved teaching, but I certainly couldn't afford to do it. I had to run a business. And I think that most professors don't understand how important networking is because they've never been out in the real world and have never had to actually, heaven forbid, close a sale. Don't get me off on that. I mean, they don't teach sales either in school. So they don't teach this because they don't understand how important it is and they don't have a clue how to do it. So it's a lot easier to teach advertising and marketing because you can teach that out of a book. It's a little harder to teach it networking, although there are many, many books on it now. You couldn't find one book on networking until the mid to late 80s, early 90s is when you first started seeing books talk about networking or word-of-mouth marketing.
I'm going to bring our we've had something on the phone for quite a while, so I'm going to just bring her on because I don't want her to hang on there too much longer. And thanks, everybody in the chat room. It's great to see you there. If you want to call in and speak to us, the number is 646-595-3741. Hello there. Area code 480. You're on air now. Hang on. Now you're on air. Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Excellent. Did you have a question or comment for Dr. Misner?
No, actually, this was just I got an email and it said call in because I wanted to listen.
Okay. Okay. Well,
so am I doing this the right way, or?
Well, you can either listen on the phone or you can go to the internet and you can listen off the internet. Is that easier for you?
Either one works actually. So. Okay.
Well, if you want to hang on, great. If you want to go to the internet, you can go to www.blogtalkradio.com/missionunstoppable, and you can just click on a little button there, and you can just listen in, however you like to do it.
Actually, probably next time I'll do that.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging in. If you have any comments, just let us know. Thanks. Oh, Yeah, the difference between sales and marketing and networking and customer service is something that really, I think if they taught customer service, then they would understand the basis of networking because,
Possibly, but I'm not sure. As a matter of fact, I think that almost teaches people the wrong thing to some extent, because when they teach what little business schools teach on networking is usually directly connected to customer service. So they'll say, look, if you do a good job, people will talk about you. So if you want to build your word of mouth, just do a good job. That's a total fallacy.
Right.
The truth is, if you look at the studies that have been done, people are more likely to talk about your business when they're ticked off at your business than when they're happy or satisfied. So good customer service generally reduces negative word of mouth. It doesn't by itself increase your business through positive word of mouth. Now, don't get me wrong here. I mean, people hear me talk about this and they think I'm saying that customer service isn't important. That's not what I'm saying, okay? Customer service is very important. It was very hard to get that client. You want to keep them. But if you think for 1 second that the average unhappy customer is going to or the average happy customer is going to talk about you as much as the average unhappy customer.
Correct.
Think
Nobody's
again.
Going to do that.
One of my favorite surveys was a study that was done in Texas that found that the average dissatisfied bank customer tells 10 people about their bad experience, and that those 10 tell 5 more, resulting in over 50 horror stories from the average unhappy bank customer. We're not talking about the bank customer who's really ticked off at the bank and really goes out and tells people. So good customer service generally just reduces negative word of mouth. You have to do more if you want to increase business through positive word of mouth.
We have another caller, and I recognize that area code, 613. Hello, good evening.
Hi, Frankie. Denis Bigasson calling.
Hello, Denis. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Good afternoon, Ivan.
Hey, Denny. Good to hear from you. I know Denny well.
One of the things I would like to, I know about B&I being worldwide, and people keep talking about referrals and getting referrals, but they don't always quite understand the money value behind referrals. And I'd like to have you maybe elaborate a little bit on what B&I as a whole generates for its members.
Well, that's a great question, and we have studied this through a couple of studies that we've done. My first was my doctoral dissertation took a look at the return on investment, the cost, the money that's made back from your efforts in networking. And it certainly varies from profession, but it can be thousands and thousands of dollars on an individual basis. From an organizational perspective, a group like B&I, we have about 100,000 members worldwide, and the organization last year passed 5.5 million referrals that generated about $2.2 billion worth of business, U.S. dollars worth of business for the members for each other all around the world. Now, just so you know, $2.2 billion, that's the same as the gross domestic product for the country of Liechtenstein.
Oh, wow.
Okay, it's a small country, I know.
Yeah,
but,
that's pretty good.
But how cool is that a business organization could get together and generate enough business for the members for the same amount of business as the gross domestic product for a small nation in the world? That just blows me away. Now, I'm looking for a bigger country next year, but I still think it's impressive.
It is very impressive. Denny, you obviously lead up a B&I chapter. Now, my understanding is that only one person in each category or business is allowed to join a chapter. Is that correct? Do I have that right?
That is correct.
So if you're a dentist, only one dentist can come to a meeting.
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. So does it matter if there's 10 people in the chapter, 50 people belonging to the chapter? Are they still going to be able to do business and expand out? And how many people, like say for instance, realistically, I think in your book, Ivan, you talk about if you networked, fairly well, and you spoke to a couple people a week, that's 12 people, a month, that's 3,000 people in a year, or whatever that works out to. How many people would you need to speak to percentage-wise and to get something back? Like if I networked and I gave out to 100 people, how out of those 100 people, what might I expect as a B&I customer?
Well, it's the numbers game like that doesn't work quite that way, and
Okay.
Let me explain why. If you want a powerful network, it needs to be both broad and deep. And so from one perspective, it's a numbers game and that you have to meet a certain number of people, but you also have to go deep with some people. Let me give you a metaphor that kind of explains what I'm talking about, and then I'll tell you what the process is to go deep. I'm in Southern California, and every year, around this time, as a matter of fact, September or October, you start seeing on the news about the Santa Ana winds in Southern California and how they always knock over the trees. I mean, you see it on the news all over North America. And it's news at 6, and there's all these trees that are knocked over. Well, if you ever see that on the news, look at the trees that are knocked over. They're almost always eucalyptus trees. And what's interesting about eucalyptus trees is that they have a root system that is very broad, but doesn't go very deep. It runs across the surface of the ground. So when the wind hits really big, the trees knock over. And I think it's a great metaphor for networking. If your networking is all about just numbers, how many people can I meet, and what kind of business can I get by just meeting a whole lot of people, then you have a very superficial network. And particularly when times are tough and there's any kind of recessionary environment or economy, the business just knocks right over because you don't have a referral system that goes deep. By going deep, that means you have to build really strong relationships with people. I talk about in the networking process what I call the VCP process of networking. It stands for visibility, credibility, profitability. You first must be visible in the community. People have to know who you are and what you do. And that's the part where you're going around and you're meeting a lot of people, visibility. But you have to then move to credibility. It's a chronological process. If you want to be successful at networking, you have to move to credibility. That's where people know who you are, what you do, and they know you're good at it. But you then have to take it to profitability, where people know who you are, what you do, that you're good at it, and that they're actually passing referrals to you. And that three-step process really takes time, and the only way you can move from credibility to profitability is by going deep and building deep roots. It can't be superficial, and it's not just a numbers game.
Okay, got you. Because, the old insurance guy at the picnic, trying to pick up business. I love that part in the 29% Solution, the book that we're actually going to be talking about tonight, and we are. You talk about this 52-week strategy, but one is, not inappropriate behavior. Know when to sell and when to build relationships. That's really powerful, I think.
Right. Yeah, let me tell you, I've got something in another book that comes right out and addresses the issue. In Truth or Delusion, I have a question. The whole book is laid up as questions, and it says, is this truth or is this delusion? And the question was, truth or delusion, you can network anywhere, anytime, any place, even at a funeral. Mm-hmm. And we asked the reader, is this truth or is it delusion? And of course, the natural response is, of course that's delusion. There's no way you can network at a funeral. The answer is actually truth. You can. But here's the thing. There's two rules. First, you must always honor the event. So walking around passing out your business cards at a funeral is probably not a good idea. Okay? It's inappropriate. Yeah, especially those darn lawyers. So, you can't, it's just not appropriate. But here's the second thing. You have to understand how I define networking. I define networking as building relationships with people. I oftentimes talk about it in the context of relationship networking. And people say to me, well, what's the difference between networking and relationship networking? Well, for me, there is no difference. All networking is about building relationships with people. The problem is that most people they make networking all about the visibility part of VCP. They try to jump from visibility to profitability. Right? Hi, my name's Ivan. Let's do business. So you're really going from pre-visibility, or what I call invisibility. You don't even know who I am. If we ever bumped into each other on the streets, you wouldn't remember me. Yet I'm asking to do business with you, and you can't do that. So you've got to go deep, build a relationship with people. And what's the best way to build a relationship? The best way to build a relationship is to help someone. And so if you honor the event, and you look for ways to genuinely help someone. And I don't mean let me sell you my products as a way of helping you. I mean you look for ways to genuinely help someone. When you do that, then there is no place that's inappropriate to network. And if you go about it with those two things in mind, you're doing it effectively.
Absolutely. I love it. And I can tell you, if you're listening, that it works. It works because that's the way I do business. And recently when my book came out and I don't have Ivan's best-selling credentials, I went to my network of folks and the people that I've been helping over the past year, and I said, now it's time. Could you please help me and buy my book? And they did. They wanted to help. They couldn't, just jump over their feet or whatever to help you. And that's how it works. And it really is about being sincere and honest and developing relationships and not wanting something from people when you meet them. It's incredible, but it's that easy. It really is that easy. I love it.
It's that easy and it's that difficult.
It's that hard, right?
Because a lot of the things that I talk about, they're very simple, but they're not easy. I'll do a presentation and people say, well, I know a lot of that. I've heard some of that. And I'll say, well, are you applying it all consistently? Well, no. And the reason for that is that the ideas I talk about there, it's not rocket science, but it's difficult to do consistently. And when you do it consistently, you're successful. And so the problem is people hear this stuff and they go, there's got to be some other way because this is actually kind of hard to do regularly. Yeah, it's work.
It's work.
And it's not called net sit or net eat. It's called net work.
Right.
If you want to build your business through networking, you got to work the networks that you belong to.
Denny, I think you wanted to say something.
Well, I was just going to say, when we were talking about willing to help other people, that's basically how Ivan Misner became a guest on your radio show. It's
right,
you
that's
and I
right.
communicating online, right? And asking you, how could I help you? What would be a good referral for you?
That's right. And that's exactly
and you referred me, Denny? Thank you.
He did.
Total pleasure.
He did. Actually, I said to Denny, you can come on my show, Denny. Go, oh, no, Dr. Misner would be much better for you. He was a little shy. But
I'd rather give you a high-profile person than myself.
You're sweet.
Go right
Thank
to the
you.
master.
Go right to the master. Exactly. Wait. You know what?
Give you better
I think you're all learning, though. Oh, Denny. I think you underestimate yourself a little bit, but thank you. You talk about networking as being an uncommon application of common knowledge. I love that. I mean, it really is. I mean, it's common knowledge. Go out and meet people and be nice to them and help them and do all that stuff, and they're going to help you.
Right.
But, you've turned this into an incredible opportunity in a business.
Yeah, I think that's what really success is all about. It's about the uncommon application of common knowledge. I wrote a book called Masters of Success, and in preparation for that book, I interviewed some great people and got some contributions from people like Buzz Aldrin, the astronaut, and Aaron Brockovich and Brian Tracy and Tony Robbins, and some really successful people. And when you ask really successful people what it takes to be successful, they'll generally tell you things like system and vision and leverage and having goal setting, some pretty standard things. When you ask business people the same question, you know what they tell you? Same stuff. Vision, system, goal setting, leverage, networking related things, social capital, trust, honesty. They give you the same list. But here's what's really interesting. I asked college students the same question because I was a part-time professor for years. And I asked college students the same question. And you know what they said, besides beer?
Okay.
They said the same stuff. Goals, vision, system, leverage, trust, social capital related stuff. The exact same list with one exception. College students always said luck. They always thought luck had something to do with success. My cut on luck and sustained success is the harder you work, the luckier you get.
Right.
So other than luck, they all said the same thing. So here's where I'm headed with this. If multimillionaires and really big names and the average business person and college students, if they all said the same thing, they gave me the exact same list. If we all know what it takes to be successful, then why is it that we're not all as successful as we would like to be? I mean, think about it. I've never asked anybody, what's your secret to success? Would you tell me? And had them tell me something that I didn't already know. Yeah. I've never had them say something and said, oh my gosh, that's it? That's the secret to success? Nobody's ever told me that. No, it's always the uncommon application of common knowledge. You said networking, and that I'm successful in that. I didn't create networking. I didn't think of it. It's not my idea. I just had an uncommon spin and an uncommon commitment to applying an uncommon system.
And I think
and
you
that's
just said
what
the
made it
magic word was commitment. And, you know, if you're listening and you say, well, I work really hard and I'm not lucky, there's a difference between working hard without a goal and a vision and working hard with a vision and a goal and commitment. So keep that in mind.
I agree completely. I say it's not just hard work, but good choices. It takes hard work and good choices consistently over time.
You know, I love the idea of commitment. I talk about it a lot because it's really important. I mean, I made a big chapter of it in my book because there's a big difference between commitment and trying. You know, I say that trying is lying. And if you try to do something, it's like giving yourself a back door out saying, well, I don't really have to if I don't want to. Committing to something means that you're going to do it. And, you know, this book, 29% Solution, is about 52 weeks. Every week there's a new strategy to implement. And if you do them all, you will be successful. That's the commitment. That's the work part. And that's the good choice part to do it if you want to be successful.
Yeah, and it's the hard work part for sure.
It's the hard work.
Yeah.
It is hard work. And I wonder, you know, in today's times, Ivan, if emotional intelligence has anything to do, you know, with some of the reasons that people aren't getting this networking thing. You know,
well, emotional intelligence, or the lack of emotional intelligence.
The lack of, the lack of emotional intelligence.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. You know, you might get hired. Emotional intelligence and EQ; those are terms that are used interchangeably. Emotional quotient. You might get hired because of your IQ, but you get promoted because of your EQ, your ability to interact effectively with other people. And emotional intelligence, I think, is extremely important. It's one of those soft sciences, again, that the colleges don't teach. But the truth is that it's a skill that when you learn can carry you through very successfly throughout your lifetime.
Denny, how has BNI changed your life?
How did BNI change my life?
Yeah.
How has it changed your life? How long have you been with BNI?
1997.
1997. So, I mean, it must be a pretty good organization for you to stick around this long.
Well, definitely. People ask me how I got involved in BNI, and the honest truth is my banker invited me to a BNI meeting. And when your banker calls you, you have to listen. Or you're in trouble. So I definitely went in.
Your next loan.
Yeah, I went in. I was an insurance broker, did home and auto, commercial insurance, property casualty, and I became more and more involved in BNI. And in March 2000, we bought the franchise for Eastern Ontario, Western Quebec. So I'm an executive director with BNI at the present time. Wow.
And the bank manager, I think you talk about having a hub, Ivan. You know, if you're in the business that Denny was in, you know, in insurance, a bank manager, a financial advisor, an accountant, those are kind of people that you would want to network with because they're the kind of people who will help with your referrals.
Yeah, it's the development of a contact sphere. Contact sphere is a group of business professionals who have a symbiotic relationship. They're in compatible, non-competitive professions. Financial planner, banker, CPA, an attorney. You put those four people in a room for an hour, they're going to do business. My favorite one is the caterer, the florist, the photographer, the travel agent. I call that the wedding mafia.
Oh, yeah.
Once they bring you in, they don't let you out. And they really refer each other well, and it's a great relationship. You can't rely exclusively on your contact sphere to build your business, but it's a good foundation to grow from.
Now, I looked in my town here today. I went on your website and I looked, you know, I was hugely surprised. I thought that there would be a lot of coaches, not one. That surprised me. I thought, oh, good, I could join if I wanted to. Because what happens if there are coaches, though? Do I have to go to Quebec or Timbuktu to join? Like, what happens if there's people in your profession?
Well, if there are people in your profession, there are other chapters around. I mean, we have 5,200 chapters in 39 countries around the world, so there are other chapters. And if there isn't another chapter in the area, we're always willing and interested in opening up chapters. I am surprised there's no coaches in chapters near you because coaches, it's one of those professions where 10 years ago there were zero. And today they're in the overwhelming majority of chapters, certainly more than 51% of our chapters have coaches of some, either life coaches or business coaches in them. It's a well-represented profession in the organization.
Yeah.
I'll be able to pull a list for you, Frankie, on coaches in Toronto. I know we have several here in Ottawa.
Well, I was pleased in Brampton, like there weren't any, and that was kind of nice to know. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I didn't see any anyway. Well, hopefully, maybe they're still in the school. What I love being, I used to be in charge of quality at Cabinet Office here with the provincial government, and one of the important things for me is leadership training, and I love the idea of continuous learning as a quality. Quality organization would do that, and leadership training. And you stress the importance of that with the folks who join your organization, Ivan, and I think that it's brilliant.
Thanks. It stemmed actually from a job that I had. I was hired. It was my first executive position, full-time permanent executive position. I was hired as an executive for a transportation company in L.A., and my first day on the job, the HR department brought me in, and I had this really nice office on the 10th floor that literally overlooked the Hollywood sign in Los Angeles. It was just this gorgeous view. And it was my first day on the job, and I was really excited. And I was hired by the president of the company directly, and he was brand new. He was only there for 3 weeks when he hired me. So I came there first day on the job, and the HR director said, well, Ivan, I'm sorry, but Mr. Whidbey's not here today. He's in Sacramento at state transportation hearing meetings, and this is a new position, so we have no idea what your job is. He's not going to be back for 3 days. Here's your office. There's your desk. There's the phone. Dial 9 to get out. The restroom is just down the hall. Good luck. And she left, and I had no idea what I was going to do for the next 3 days. And I remember sitting there thinking that if I ever run a business, I am not going to have people come into the organization without an orientation. They need a thorough orientation so that you have a sense of what the role is and what you can do, and you can start at a run instead of a crawl. And that, I carried that with me throughout the rest of my career in making sure that new people in an organization get at least a rudimentary orientation.
Oh, yeah, but more important is this idea of continuous learning and leadership training. Like, you never know it all.
No, you don't. And I think business people pay lip service, to be honest with you, about networking, about learning, and about education. As a matter of fact, I write a blog for Entrepreneur.com, and for your listeners, if you want to go to the blog, it's www.networkingentrepreneur.com. www.networkingentrepreneur.com. Okay, so if you can't spell entrepreneur. Yeah, if you can't spell entrepreneur, just go to bni.com and you'll see it on the right-hand side.
And
there's
great.
A little.
I was reading a bunch of them today. Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, and there's some great stuff on there. It's free, people can go to and read. But I did a blog just a little while ago called "Empty Your Purse into Your Head," and it's a quote. It's a quote from Benjamin Franklin. And Benjamin Franklin said, if a man empties his purse into his head, no one can take it from him. An investment in knowledge always pays the highest return. And I think most entrepreneurs pay lip service to education. Now, okay, not the people who are on this call probably, because they're taking. Well, I mean, think about it. These are people who are taking time to listen to the call.
Right.
And when I talk about today, the whole idea of empty your purse into your head is not only spending money on education, but also spending time. Because guess what? Time is money for a business person. And so if you're spending time or you're spending money, then you're the exception to this rule. But most businesses, it used to surprise me that 50% of all businesses failed in their first 3 years. Now I'm surprised, having been in business for several decades, now I'm surprised that the other 50% actually make it. Because most of them don't engage in a culture of learning. And I think that's the key to being success, is that ongoing culture of learning that you have to establish.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. One of I think it was on your website, I don't think it was in Entrepreneur, the idea of remember the ice, the way that you talk, the power of language and articulation. and the power in the physiology. I can't remember the gentleman who was talking on that, but he was talking about the power of physiology. And when you are on the phone and you're talking to people and you put a smile on your face before you get on that phone, people hear that smile in your voice, don't they? And I think it's the same as when you're talking. I don't know what that is. Is that
That's not me.
That's not me either, I don't think. Denny, is that you?
No, I don't know what's going on. In case it's our line, I'm going to hang up and listen to it on the radio.
All right, Denny. It's good hearing from you.
Definitely. Bye-bye.
Thanks for the referral.
My total pleasure.
Yeah. Well, we've been referred to before a few times, and sometimes that's what happens. We both belong to Academy, and we were supposed to hook up a while back, and things, I don't know, you got busy, I got busy, and things didn't happen. But it doesn't mean that it's not going to come back around again. And so, you need to be open to the opportunities. And when Denny said, I can call Ivan and get him on your show, I'm like, yeah, fantastic, it'd be great. I don't have to do everything myself. Why ever do some work?
Well, listen, if you ever want to talk to the guy who did Remember the Ice, his name is Bob Nickel. Bob's a great guy. He actually lives in Alaska, and so
he's disconnected. Goodbye.
He's a great guy. He's a great guy, and I'll just give your audience, 30 or 60 seconds on his material. Remember the Ice is a training program that he does, but it's based on some coaching that he did with a retail store, and the retail store was like one of those 7-Eleven kind of Stop and Shop kind of stores, and they had a sign up that said, "Don't forget the ice." And he said, "So how's your ice sales going?" And he said, "It's horrible. People are walking out; they're forgetting the ice." And he said, "Well, do you mind? Can I make a suggestion? Rather than put a sign up that says, 'Don't forget the ice,' put up a sign that says, 'Remember the ice.'" And he said, "You're kidding me, right?" He said, No, try it out. It'll make a difference. So he put up the sign. Came back a few weeks later. He said, "So how's the ice sales?" He said, "Oh, my God, I can't believe how much ice we're selling. We're selling a ton more ice. I can't believe that just a simple change in phraseology would impact sales." And Bob talks about the psychology of that and how putting it into a positive statement has people remember or connect with it better than "don't forget the ice" instead of "remember the ice." And so that's his whole concept, and it's very effective. He's a great guy. He did a podcast with me. That may be where you heard of him.
Yeah, I think so. And the town was really hot. It was hot wherever this store was. So it wasn't like people didn't need ice. It was
it was during the summer. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So that was really interesting. And the same thing when you talk to people and you put the but in there. You give them a compliment and you go but. Nothing is remembered before the but. Nothing.
That's right.
And so don't think of a blue sky. Well, you're going to think of a blue sky. Don't think of this.
Exactly.
You're going to think of that. And so it's very powerful to think of how you speak to people. Is really interesting. In your book, The 29% Solution, which I would highly encourage everyone to run out and buy if they're in business and they want to figure out how to network better. I found it interesting. The number 7. You have 7 strategies, 7 hours a week that you should put into networking, and the first 7 weeks are probably the most important.
It's eerie.
To that? Yeah.
It's maybe a little eerie. I'm not sure that I'm necessarily locked into the number 7. It's probably somewhat coincidental. Maybe my co-author Michelle has a secret, about the number 7. But the book was a fun book to do. Let me ask you a question. See, I'm going to give you a test. You ready for a test?
Oh no. Okay, go.
Okay, here. What does Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, and 6 Degrees of Separation all have in common?
They're all a fallacy.
Yes, very good. They're all urban legends, and that's how we start the book. Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, and 6 Degrees. Now, I'm not gonna talk about Saint Nick or the Fuzzy Bunny. I'm gonna leave those guys alone. But the whole concept of 6 degrees of separation is a fallacy. It's not true. It has become it's become a part of the urban lore that we're all separated by everyone else on the planet by 6 degrees, and it's just untrue. It's actually based on what's that?
I said you and I might be, but everybody else isn't.
Well, let's talk about that. It's based on studies done by Stanley Milgram in the 1960s, the mid to late 1960s, and he did this series of studies called the Small World Studies. You know how you're talking to people and you find out that you have a contact in common, and you go, oh my goodness, it's such a small world. And so he wanted to test that. And he tested it by getting a little over 200 people in Oklahoma, and he gave them a packet of material. And he said, find this person in Massachusetts. That was before Google, where, you could just get online and find somebody. Right? So they had to go to their personal network of people and see if they knew anyone that might know this guy. And he found that on average, the people that got the packet through, it took about 6 steps. So if that's true, what's my problem with the concept of 6 degrees? Here's the problem. Only 29% of the respondents ever got the packet through. 71% did not. So 29% found the guy in Massachusetts. 71% couldn't find their car keys. They were lost. It didn't matter how many times. Whether you're talking about 6, 8, 10, 100, they gave up. So the bottom line here is that only 1 out of 3 of us are connected by 6 degrees. 2 out of 3 of us, based on the very study that this phrase came from. Only 1 out of 3 of us. What's that?
Right? Hence the name of your book, the 29%.
Hence the 29% solution. Because what we did, what Michelle and I did, was we sat down and we said, okay, how can we address this? And so, some people might wonder why arguably experts on networking would go after this iconic concept, the Achilles heel of this iconic concept. And there's 2 reasons why we did it. One, we found that people were becoming complacent. It's like, hey, you know what, this will all work out. We're all connected by 6 degrees, right? Well, no, we're not. You may or may not be one of the 3 who are, but we're not all connected by 6 degrees. And the second thing is, we asked ourselves, what was the difference between the 29% and the 71%? And we believe that the 29% were well networked, that you mentioned it earlier, emotional intelligence, that they had developed the emotional intelligence to be successful at building a powerful personal network. And if that's the case, then anybody can do it. And if anybody can do it, what would it look like? And that's what we did. Is we created a 52-week strategy that said, all right, you want to be part of the 29%? This is what you do. Start with week 1 and do this. And we even tell people, don't read the whole thing all at once. It's too much. You can't do it all. So chunk it. Read the first couple of chapters in the first week and stop. And then read the second week and stop. And apply the concepts that we talk about in there, because they are simple but not easy. And if you don't apply them, it will not be successful. Or as Bob Nickel would say, if you do apply them, you will be successful.
Yes, good turnaround there. So for those of you who are listening, one of the strategies, and one of the simple but not easy sometimes, is to describe the perfect client for you, the person that you want to attract to your business.
Right.
So Ivan, if I'm describing the person that I want to do business with, and I let you know that.
Right.
When I'm networking, when I'm on, as you say, be on 24/7, always be networking, always be building relationships. Am I only looking to build relationships with people that I believe are my ideal client or would know my ideal client, or am I building relationships with everybody because everybody knows somebody who?
Oh, that's a great question. It's a great question. And most people think that it's, I really want to develop the relationships with the kind of people that I'm specifically looking to do business with. Here's the problem. Diversity is key in a successful personal network. So you have to surround yourself with people that are different. The problem that most networks have is that they are by nature clumpy. Networks are cluster-like. We tend to surround ourselves with people like us. Oftentimes they look like us. They have the same educational background as us. They have similar interests as us. Our friends tend to be each other's friends. We run with a group of people. The problem with that is that you run with people who have similar interests and similar connections. And the more diverse your personal network is, the more likely you are to have in it someone who is a linchpin or a connector, someone who will connect the cluster that you're in with another cluster of people. And so the answer to your question is, diversity is key. And when I say diversity, I mean not just diversity in the sense of the traditional form of diversity, race, religion, color, sex, but diversity in terms of age of people that you're working with, the types of professions of individuals that you're working with, educational background. The more diverse you can be in terms of the type of people that you surround yourself with, the more likely you are to find connectors. Here's the only thing that should be a constant. You want people who are good at what they do. Mm-hmm. That should be a constant, because if you get somebody who's diverse but they're not good at what they do, then the kind of people that they're going to be surrounding themselves with probably aren't real good at what they do either. And so you want to surround yourself with quality business professionals who are very different than you as well as similar to you. I mean, clearly you're going to have your friends and associates, but you want to surround yourself with, as much as possible, people who are different, because those are the people who will connect you with people that you'd otherwise never have a chance to connect with.
But isn't that why we would take continuous learning? Because if we're always talking about the same thing, you're never going to be, interesting to somebody else or have them be interesting to you.
It's true, but this is counterintuitive. It's counterintuitive to a business person to say, you should network. I mean, here's an example. I get a lot of people who want to be in a BNI group, but they want it to be a business-to-business BNI group. All I want is other business-to-business people. I don't want a dentist in the group. I don't want a painting contractor in the group. I want heavy-hitter successful business professionals. That's it. And that's a huge mistake. Two of the biggest referrals given in North America, one of the biggest referrals given in North America within the last year or two was given by a Mary Kay consultant, gave a six-figure referral to a graphic designer. I'll give you the short version of the story. She was at a woman's house doing a facial. It was in Bel Air. Husband walks by as the woman's doing the facial, and he's got the sheet of paper, and he's kind of crumbling it, and he's, bad word as he walks by. And the wife laughs and said, "Honey, what's wrong?" He said, "Oh, this graphic designer, I'm going to fire him tomorrow. He's doing a horrible job. I need someone else. Problem is I don't have anyone else." And the Mary Kay consultant says, "Gee, I know a great graphic designer. As a matter of fact, I'm going to see him tomorrow morning. If you have a card, I'll give it to him. Wait a minute. I happen to have one of his cards here," because we train people in BNI. I always carry the business cards around with you of the people that you're going to refer. So she takes his card, gives it to the guy. Guy gives her his card and says, "Yes, give him my card. Tell him to call me immediately because I'm ready to fire this guy and I want to hire somebody else." She did. She put the two of them in touch. The card didn't say what he did. It was just a white card with black print. So she didn't know what the referral was for, but she knew it was really hot. So she gave the referral. Guy comes in, and he does a proposal, got the gig. The man was a movie producer.
Oh, wow.
The job was all the marketing work for the next movie, all the brochures and the flyers and all the marketing campaign. Okay, the graphic designer did such a good job. He got the producer's next movie, too. It was a six-figure referral, and it came from a woman who puts cosmetics on people. Yeah. And so, there's a lot of people out there who would say, "Well, I don't want to network with a Mary Kay consultant." Hey, you have no idea whose house she's in.
That's right.
She was in a house of a movie producer in Bel Air. So you never know who people know. Here, I'll give you one other quick one. One of the biggest referrals given this year, a dentist gave a multi-million-dollar referral to a freight company. What a combination, right?
Yeah,
to a freight company.
Yeah,
a dentist in Malaysia was at a conference. It was the BNI Global Conference in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. She met a freight company who was from the United Kingdom. And the next day she was in her offices, and a patient came in, said, "Gee, your office was closed yesterday. I needed to see you." And she explained that she was at a networking event. And he said, "Oh, networking. Gosh, I'm in the freight business, and we're ready to consolidate. I need a freight company because we're letting go of the freight one of the freight services that we use, and I have a $1.5 billion budget." That was billion with a B. And yeah, and so she said, "Gee, I just met a great freight service yesterday," and she put the two of them in touch, and he's about ready to sign a contract now, and it's worth millions of dollars. And it came from a dentist.
From a dentist.
From a dentist. See, the thing is, you just don't know who these people know. And so you want to surround yourself with quality business professionals because they know people who would be great contacts for you.
Yeah, and people are always being judged on the outside too, how they look and what they do. And I remember my dad. He went to buy a car way back in probably early 70s, and buy a Jaguar XK when the XK first came out. And we had a farm. He was a gentleman farmer. He went in his work boots and his shirt. Nobody would look at him.
Right.
Nobody wanted to sell him this car. And yet, he went back with his friend and they bought two of these cars. And so it's so important not to judge people because you don't know who they know. The maid,
you don't.
Or the whoever.
You don't.
I mean,
you really don't know.
No.
Yeah.
Maybe it's their son or whatever. It could be anybody. But that's the biggest thing. Always be open to everyone. I had a plumber come here last week, and I thought it was like the most exciting thing that ever happened to me because all of a sudden, how you really do attract people into your life on the things that you're doing, and
yep.
the guy comes in and he says, he was all into health and growing his own herbs and making tinctures and alternative healing things. I'm like, this is my plumber talking about this stuff. I'm like, this is so cool. It's great.
And you never know who these guys. You never know who these guys network with. Do you know one of the best networked people I know is my painting contractor. He comes on over. I've got a pretty nice sized house, and so we're gradually redoing rooms of the house, and so I see my painting contractor way too much, and so he's coming to do new houses, and he's talking about these people because he knows I run a network. So he talks about Sylvester Stallone and Tom Cruise and all these. I'm like, come on, you really know these guys. So the next time he comes, he has a photo album. He knows more movie actors than I think I have ever seen in my life in person.
Wow.
Because he's in these people's houses painting their homes.
Right.
And so they invite him to parties. They invite him to, fundraisers. This guy has become friends with a lot of these people. He's better networked than I am. And he's a painting contractor. You just don't know who people know.
Yeah. I love it. That's what's so great. I mean, and I just love meeting everybody anyway, so that's so cool. But, hopefully people who are listening, if you're listening, then, sorry, I just got an email here, Ivan. 1 second, because I'm supposed to ask you something. Hang on.
Okay. Well, while you're reading that.
Tell us the story about the commercial light bulb salesperson.
Oh, somebody's heard me do presentations before. Yeah, commercial light bulb salesman. His name is Nordy Turchin. God rest his soul. Nordy passed away a few years ago. But the whole thing with Nordy is that he really taught me that it doesn't matter what profession you're in. It really it matters more about the person than the profession. That anybody can be really successful at networking, even if you're working a really niche business. Nordy sold commercial light bulbs. So, I mean, not the regular kind of light bulbs that you'd buy in a grocery store. So you couldn't even give Nordy a mercy referral, like, hey, I need to buy some light bulbs for my house, right? Because they wouldn't fit. They were these, big commercial things, halogen things that would be in warehouses. And so he applied for membership in BNI. This was many years ago, and I think I had about 100 chapters, so it was in the mid 80s, like 87, I think. And he applied for membership. And I said, Nordy, at the end of the meeting, I said, Nordy, I really appreciate your interest, but I got to tell you, I got 100 groups. I don't have any commercial light bulb salesmen. And he said, so you're telling me I can't join? I said, well, no, I'm not telling you can't join. I'm just, it's buyer beware. I don't want you to join under false pretenses thinking that you're going to get a lot of business when I've never seen a commercial light bulb salesman in a chapter, so I don't know if it'll work. So he said, okay, so you're telling me I shouldn't join. I said, well, I'm not sure I want to go that far. I just want you to understand that I've never seen this profession succeed. I've never seen it succeed or fail. I don't know that it'll work. He said, well, I really appreciate you being honest with me. He said, I'm going to join because I really think that it's not just what I'm selling, it's me. And if I can build relationships with people, they'll find ways of referring me. And at worst case scenario, he had such a great attitude. He said, worst case scenario, I will have great referral sources for my clients. And if I can provide value-added services to my clients, then I'm building a relationship, and if I have that relationship, they're not going to go to the cheapest guy in town. They're going to go to the guy who gives them the best service and really has a good relationship. So, no, I think I'm going to try it. So I said, okay. Well, he joined, and I was back into that area. It was in Nevada, and I was back in that area a year later. And Nordy went up to the director, and he said, do you mind if I introduce Ivan to this event? And the director said, fine. He stood up, and he read my bio. And at the end of the bio, he said, on a personal note, I just wanted to mention something. He said, I'm announcing, even my chapter doesn't know this, for the first time, I've been with this company for 10 years, for the first time in the 10 years that I've worked with this company, I have won the national contest, the national sales drive. I sold the highest number of units in the last 3 months, and 40% of all my sales came from referrals from my local BNI group. And 1 year ago, this month, he tried to talk me out of joining the organization. And I remember sitting there thinking, I am never going to try to talk somebody out again based on the profession they're in. Because he was a classic example, and it had nothing to do with the business he was in. It had everything to do with who he was as a person and his commitment to the referral process and relationship networking. And he made it work. He could have sold anything because they loved who he was and the service he gave.
Yeah. Wow, what a great story. And a great lesson. A great lesson.
Oh, it was an incredible lesson. I mean, I learned that, it doesn't have anything to do with the profession. It has everything to do with the person. So I tell people, when you're looking to network with other people, look for the right person. The professions will come.
Ivan, we got like 5 minutes. I can't believe it. We're already running out of time. So what would you like to tell people? Where should we talk? What should we talk about in the last 5 minutes? What do you think?
Well, I think the most important thing that I can tell the listeners is that networking is more about farming than it is about hunting, that it's about cultivating relationships with other business professionals. What I teach is not a get-rich-quick scheme. You're not going to get a thing from me where it's like, okay, do this in the next 30 days, you'll be a millionaire. It's not like that. And by the way, most of those people are just ripping you off. I've met many of them, and they're ripping you off. I'm talking about building a long-term, successful business based on building relationships with people and generating business through the referral process, and that does take time. I think one of the most important things I've learned in the last 2 decades of running the world's largest network is that it's not what you know or who you know. You know the expression, it's not what you know, it's who you know. It's not what you know or who you know, it's how well you know them that really counts. It's all about building long-term relationships with people because people do business with people they trust.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. We talk about strategic business planning and operational planning in business, and you talk about the importance of planning the hours of networking into those schemes, and
right.
You say 7 hours is probably a good number per week.
Right.
If you can do more, but 7 hours would be a good number to put into your networking week.
Yeah, and I'll tell you that's based on a study that we're doing right now for another book on the difference between men and women. It's a book on gender and the difference between men and women and how they network. And one of the questions that we ask is how much time do you spend on networking? And the study's not complete. We talk about it briefly in the 29% Solution book, but the study's not complete. But what we seem to be seeing emerge is that people who are spending less than 7 hours are not generating the kinds of revenue in referrals that people who are spending at least 7 or 8 hours. Now there are some, and this is where we don't have a handle on it yet, that are spending 10, 15, 20 hours, and it'll be interesting to see if they're getting 2 or 3 times the amount of return, and we haven't seen that yet. But the number seems to be around 7 or 8 hours. That you got to devote at least that much time to your relationship building and networking if you really want to get substantive results in the process. It's really your sales time.
Yep. The book was called The 29% Solution. It's his latest book. Dr. Ivan Misner's been our guest this evening. If you want to join BNI or look at BNI, I think, www.bni.com will get you there.
BNI.com, and the book is available at most major bookstores, at Amazon.com, and it's also, we have a website, 29, the numbers 2 and 9, the word percent solution, 29percentsolution.com, and you can get information on the book.
Must be wonderful to be a best-selling author and a black belt. All on the same day. How good is that?
It's pretty good. The 29% Solution hit number 1 on Amazon, and we're number 3 on Wall Street Journal right now. So life is good.
Congratulations. Next time I want you to come on, we're going to talk about you being a magician and how you got into that.
I'll tell you what, I could tell you a funny story. Probably the funniest thing that ever happened to me was doing magic on a live TV show. It's a sad moment in my life that everybody laughs at.
Okay.
Never do a fire trick. Here's the thing. I'll give you a shorter. Never. It's a long story. Never do a fire trick on live television. It's not pretty.
It could explode.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for being my guest. It was such a joy to have you here today. And thank you, everybody in the chat room, and thank you, everybody who are listening. I do love you, and we'll be back here next Tuesday night, same time, same channel. Take care, everyone. Good night. Thank you, Ivan.
Good night. My pleasure.
Bye.
Hey, Houston. For a limited time at VisionWorks, you can get 2 complete pairs of glasses. Frames, lenses, the works for just $49 on single vision glasses and $89 on progressives. And that's a good deal. But we offer that pricing on over 500 frames, which makes it a great deal. Right now, buy 2 complete pairs of single vision glasses for just $49 or 2 pairs of progressives for only $89. VisionWorks. We're here to help you. Some restrictions apply. See store for details. Offer expires November 10th.